Well, folks, the Blue Jays stink. We dropped another one to the Houston Astros, 5-1, fall to 12-12 on the year. The march to 500 is underway, and we've achieved our goal. Not what you want to see. We were 4 games over 500, and to lose four in a row, fall back to 12-12. The vibes are at an all-time low. The offense absolutely sucks. We got two hit again. I won't talk that much about this game because there's some other topics that I want to touch on in this video. But just for a quick summary, Ronel Blanco, the guy that no-hit us, I think it was last year, two hits us here in 6 2/3. Only got 3 strikeouts, but he made us look silly a lot of the time. Chris Bassett went out. He had some pretty rough luck in the first inning. A lot of soft hit balls, a ball hit off a base, things like that. He probably deserved to let up a run or two there, but it was a pretty ugly inning and pretty unlucky inning, I'll say. But either way, when you let up 3 runs in the first and the game feels over, you know something's wrong with your offense at that point. And so I'll pretty much leave it there. I'll do a quick recap here. Bassett went 5 1/3, 4 earned runs. We lose 5-1. The bullpen did its job. Yariel came in, let up a home run, got out of it with just the 1 run, but like I say, we let up 3 in the first inning and the game was pretty much over because all we could muster was 2 hits. We did get 2 walks as well, but it's just not enough offense. And that brings me to my point for this video, as I'm going to shrink myself here and just kind of move myself out of the way so I can show you this. So the top offenses in the league, here's one of them here, the Chicago Cubs. Let me just play around here. Okay. So the Chicago Cubs, one of the absolute best offenses in the league. They're leading the league in runs scored. They've been in some absolute slugfests. And I just wanted to highlight what their roster is, because the common discourse is Blue Jays need more hitters. We did a terrible job of building this roster. And I'm not disagreeing with any of that. We need another hitter. We don't have enough offense. We aren't built that way. We're built around pitching and defense, and that's something that fans do need to realize, is we weren't built to come first in the league in runs scored or first in home runs, and we shouldn't have to be up there to be effective, as we've seen in the first 24 games. We have won quite a few games just on pitching and defense, but the offense has obviously been lackluster. And just to compare us to a league's best offense, like what the Cubs have here, they've got Kyle Tucker, the one legitimate slugger. People on the Blue Jays side, I've been in the camp that Kyle Tucker was a better hitter, better player than Vlad the whole time. I don't know if that will end up being true, but he's certainly making it look pretty obvious to start the year. He's been on an absolute tear. But anyways, my point with that is he's their one legitimate power bat who you would consider to be a superstar level bat. Carson Kelly is a guy who hits 8 home runs a year, 10 home runs a year. He's a catcher who's he's not an influential bat normally. He's put up 6 home runs for them already. Seiya Suzuki, okay bat, 20 home run guy, hits doubles, stuff like that. He's pretty solid with the bat, but he's not a power hitter. Like I say, normally puts up 20 home runs. 6 already. Michael Busch, he's got potential. We don't really know what he's going to become, but so we'll call him another power bat, I guess. But yeah, he's got 5. Pete Crow Armstrong, not really known for his power. He's put in a few. Dansby Swanson's had, he's more known for his glove than his offense at this point in his career. He hasn't really been, flourishing offensively. He's put up a few home runs. And they're just getting these contributions just down the lineup. Ian Happ is probably who I would have pegged to be their second or third best home run hitter. He's only put up 2. But you know what? The rest of their lineup is picked up. The Kellys, the Suzukis, Busch, Crow Armstrong. All these guys are actually hitting home runs. They're not stacking their lineup with guys, with track records of 30 and 40 home runs. It's not like they're running out Vlads and Santanders through their whole lineup, and the Blue Jays are just way behind in that aspect this year. It's just that their guys are simply hitting home runs. We could have Jimenez hitting, he's got 3 for us, but he could have 5. He could have, more than what he's doing. Alan Roden could have a few home runs. Nathan Lucas hit one for us last night. He could put off a few more. You know what I mean? Will Wagner could have a home run. Bo Bichette could have 5 home runs right now. Vladdy could have 7 or 8, like a lot of these stars have, the Cal Rallies, the Aaron Judge. You know what I mean? There's so many guys now with 5, 6, 7, 8 home runs or more. Santander could be up there. We're just not getting anything from anyone. So it's like I say, I don't disagree that we need another bat and that this offense probably isn't built enough for power. But it's also hard to make that argument when nobody is doing their job. Like, not a single guy on this team is overachieving. Jimenez with the 3 home runs might be, but even then his OPS is terrible and his overall hitting has been just garbage since April started. So until any singular player starts to meet or exceed expectations, I don't really want to talk about all the additions that we need, because it's a moot point. Because who's to say, like, we'll bring in another good bat and then they'll suck just like everyone else sucks. So the offense is really driving me crazy right now, and the pitching staff, and I realize the defense comes from the same players that are playing offense, but they're doing a good job on that side of the ball. The pitching has looked really solid, and this lack of hitting and trying to pin it on the management rather than the players, pin it on the management exclusively rather than the players. When you look at some of these other rosters, like, again, this Cubs team is leading the league in runs scored with a bunch of guys that you might have heard of, but they're not known for being, these impactful offensive players. And then I'll go to the next team here. We've got the Yankees. Yeah, the Yankees, they have the short porch. They get a few more home runs. They had the Brewers series where they just went nuclear, and it did inflate their numbers a bit. But even there, you got Trent Grisham almost leading the league in home runs at this point. He's got 6. Jazz Chisholm has forgot to hit other than home runs. Like, that's literally all he's hitting is home runs. So he's not quite as good of a hitter as the 7 home runs indicates this year. He's having actually a rough OPS season given all those home runs. Ben Rice looks like a nice find. Aaron Judge is Aaron Judge. But outside of Judge and Ben Rice, I don't see a ton of real firepower there. Jazz Chisholm, like I say, like, he'll swing for the long ball, but he's not the greatest overall hitter. And Trent Grisham, who, like, he was on the bench last year. He wasn't even a good player. Anthony Volpe is okay. Wells is pretty good. Bellinger, meh, he's up and down. And then they've got a rookie in Jason Dominguez who's chipped in a couple. So it's not like they're out-manning us up and down the lineup and they're just built completely different than us. And then the next team, a team that we just faced, that's why I included them in this, because we just saw this roster play out in front of us. The Seattle Mariners, they're not the greatest for runs scored right now, but they have an absolute ton of home runs. They're 6th in the league right now. And if you look down their lineup, like Cal Raleigh, good hitter. You'd expect him to get around 30 home runs in a year, like a Vlad, like a Santander. He's pretty much, I think he is leading baseball in home runs right now. Dylan Moore, I think, hit 10 home runs last year. He's not a power hitter at all. Look at the numbers that he's putting up. He's got 5 already. Randy Rosarena, I know the name sounds good and that we're familiar with him, but he's only ever hit like 20, 21 home runs in a season. He's not a real power guy. Polanco, Rowdy Tellez. Rowdy Tellez only has 1 home run outside of the series with the Blue Jays. He just happened to show up for the revenge game there. But other than that, he's been terrible. Julio Rodriguez has tailed off. He's like a 110 OPS plus guy at this point in his career since his first couple of years there. And he's not a power bat, I wouldn't say. He's just okay. Like, these are 10 to 20 home run guys who all just happen to be showing up and hitting home runs. So that was more the point that I wanted to hammer home with this video is, I get it. We need more hitting. We could acquire a bat for sure. But unless you start getting this level contribution down the lineup, like these other teams that are, up in the league lead in home runs, in runs scored, until you start getting this balanced contribution from guys that you don't necessarily expect it from, or people meeting and exceeding expectations, you can't expect to do anything. Like, it doesn't matter who we bring in. If Vladdy's going to hit 1 home run a month, it's not going to be enough. If Santander is going to hit, 150 with 10 home runs this year, it's not going to matter. If Bo Bichette is going to stay on 0 home runs, I saw a stat there, I think it was Chris Black that posted it, where he's played in, I don't even remember how many it was. It was 300 at-bats, I think, since like last year sometime. And he was the only player that didn't have a home run in that time. Bo Bichette, the $200 million shortstop, Bo Bichette, is the only player with that many at-bats that did, out of, I think it was literally 300 and something players. He was the only one without a home run in that time frame. So again, until we address what the issue is and why nobody on our roster can seemingly hit a home run, it doesn't matter who we bring in. We just brought in a 44 home run guy in Anthony Santander, and he immediately forgets how to hit as soon as he joins the team. Like, Vladdy gets his $500 million, and he'll show you the hardest hit double play you have ever seen in your life. But if he doesn't put one over the fence, I don't care. So again, until the players start to show something, I don't really want to hear about all the additions that we should be making, because it won't do anything. I'm not convinced it would do anything at all, because we're not seeing any of it from the good bats that we do have. You can't tell me just because the Mariners are still up here, Dylan Moore is better than any hitter on our team. Yeah, sure, this year, right now, he is for sure, because he's doing it. But, he's a 10 home run guy. Randy Rosarena, again, a 20 home run guy. Polanco basically wasn't even wanted by anybody, and then he shows up and starts putting up a handful of home runs for the Mariners. It's just, it's frustrating. It's frustrating that we have to keep hearing the same stuff about, needing more bats and needing this and needing that, and there's no accountability, there's no reflection on why aren't any of our players doing anything, why can we not get any home runs. Anyways, again, Jays lose. They're 500 now, but this is what I really wanted to touch on, the lack of power and the run scoring. Let me know what you guys think. Drop a comment. We'll talk to you later, all right?